September 15th at 6.
Okay, we are recording.
It's Wednesday, September 15th at 6:10 p.m., 6:13 p.m., and this is the Economic Development Commission. In the room tonight, we have Craig Samuelson, Amber Bach, and myself, Michael McMahon. Serena is not with us tonight. And we'll move on. Public comments, I don't see any members of the public, so we'll move on to all business. Starting with changes and business developments in town. Here are some of the changes, and we'll continue with the other members with what they're aware of. Red Robin Hood's Basket is closed for the season. The business, not the real estate, the business itself is for sale. There's new homes continuing to be built at the former Country Club on College Highway. Most of the lots and most of the houses are built on the west side of College Highway. They've started building, there's 4 or 5 have been built on the east side of College Highway. Several of the buildings have been sold to residents, and they've been sold for over $500,000 per house. Malicious Ice Cream on Feeding Hills Road is temporarily closed through the end of the Big E because they're having difficulties getting staff, according to the owner who told me that the other night. Now moving on to any other changes or things in town that either of you are aware of?
So I have one of the businesses that asked to register. They're brand new. When I went through Gristmill Plaza, I actually dropped off flyers, and I gave one to a contractor that was working on one of the spots in there, I think next to the nail salon, and it's going to be a cleaning company.
Oh.
Let me just see. Where did I put it down? Sweeping it clean. So we're gonna have a new cleaning company coming in there. I don't have any details on what type of cleaning. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be like house cleaning or, if they're industrial or carpet cleaning,
I think they had an ad in Southwoods either in July or August. I know I've seen the name somewhere.
So they're moving into Southwick, so they'd like to participate. So, but that's all I know of new business. We have that new Bloom's hair salon. I did stop in and welcome them.
Did they move somewhere else, or are they brand new?
I think they're brand new. I think it's stylists from other, from
Right.
from that kind of collaborated from
Right.
another business. They left
I think
somewhere.
that's typical.
Next to near Xantos, where the
Where the
Verizon.
cell phone store
Yeah.
used to be.
Yeah. So there's a little hair salon in there.
They used to be down where we are.
Bloom's?
Huh?
Bloom's hair salon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, one of them did.
Oh, okay.
Issues,
Oh. Okay.
2 partners.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. That makes sense then. And that's all I know for new business, I believe.
Well, we do have a new business because we have another salon that moved in the day that they left.
Oh,
Yeah, 2
okay.
young girls from over in Feeding Hills really.
In your spot? In
Yeah.
your place? Great.
Yeah, they're really
I had popped in there and gave the kid in the storage. Is that your son?
son-in-law.
Oh, son-in-law. Okay, I gave him one of the flyers because you hadn't registered, and then I was like, "Are any other businesses in?" And he was like, "Not yet." And so, good,
So they're really energetic and yeah,
good. That'll be great.
yeah.
The September 1st issue of Business West has an article on Southwick. I'm still trying to get a hard copy. I read the article online. And consistent with local television and newspapers and everything else, there's a few errors in it. They had the wrong median household income for Southwick, the wrong population for Southwick. And it says the Greens of Southwick, nothing has been built on the east side of College Highway. When I then drove over there, and there's people living in a couple of the houses, and other
Right.
houses are under construction. The article also said, which apparently nobody picked up on, that the planning board and the select board voted in favor of the project at 686 College Highway. The planning board never took a vote. They were still in the public hearing
Right.
process
Correct.
when the application was withdrawn. But those things happen. And I know of 4 businesses.
I have
for next
7.
week. Okay, good.
Did Dorsey Construction, is that one of yours?
I saw one.
Is that yours? Okay, because,
Well, I don't care yours, I don't care.
well, no,
I
I
saw
meant
the
because
email.
she sent
I
me
got it.
one too and said something, so I wasn't sure
Yeah,
if
that's
you
all
had
right.
that, if you had that as a number already on your list.
Right, yeah, so
Okay.
I'll just go
All right,
down
I'll
to-
go that.
Yeah.
So I have New England Chimney Sweeps.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna need masons, experienced stove installers, tenders, laborers. Big Y wants to participate.
Oh,
They do
okay.
need Wi-Fi.
Uh,
So I thought maybe we just make a list of who needs
Sure.
Wi-Fi and who needs electrical. I have the Dollar Tree.
Okay,
They do not need Wi-Fi, it says, so that's good. The Southwick Inn, she didn't mention if she needed Wi-Fi or not. And let's see, you already have that door. Oh no, you had Tynick Landscaping, right?
right.
And then I had the Dorsey. Okay, and then Dorsey
Okay.
had. So we have 2 landscaping companies, Tynick and Dorsey. Tynick needs electrical.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a problem. That means we put them along the wall where there's electric plugs.
Dorsey needs Wi-Fi,
Okay,
and then I have the Sweeping It Clean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
How many spots do we
6.
have?
25.
I-
and who-
we won't fill the
And who
25.
do you have to add?
That's why I was just looking at the list, I don't have it with me. I had Dorsey.
Yep.
Tynick, and I had
Oh,
2
and Tynick
others.
too. Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember who the other 2 were.
Okay. Did you want a table still? I mean, we have plenty of room.
We are so tanked with help down there.
Oh, good.
No,
Oh, you don't have help?
we don't have.
Okay, so do
It is
this.
awful.
Okay, so do this. Why don't you just have a table, and why don't you put out applications at the table? Just do a little printout, say the Notch Travel Center, say the positions needed, and then leave it there.
I'll see
And
what
people
Miles
can
says.
grab it.
Yeah, I'll see what Miles says. It's,
And then that way, at least there's applications, you know what I mean? At least you have a spot.
Yeah.
And that way, people who come. So I sent off a bunch of flyers over to HR at Westfield State. The high school has given me a little bit of a hard time. Like, they need a certain font, like fonted print on there that this was not part of Southwick. And I've asked my son, like, have you heard an announcement? He said no. So I'm going to reach out tomorrow and let them know again, you know, just say
Well, I don't understand, what's the issue?
on the flyer,
Right,
I needed to have like a font of saying like, you know, Southwick High School does not sponsor this event, you know, or something like that. It was whatever they said, I put it on there. And then I forwarded it to the admin at the superintendent's office. And so she has not reached back to say a yay or nay. But I also want it on like their morning announcements to say there's a job fair. So I'm going to reach back out to them tomorrow.
right.
I figured we'd all meet here today and just find
Right.
out. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of the businesses didn't have a warm body. But I said, grab an aunt, grab an uncle, grab a cousin, grab a, you know what I mean? Grab anybody you can just to sit at a table or just put the stuff out. But a lot of people, you know, just couldn't. But I mean, you can always, somebody can just run it over to us at 4. You know, it's not like, you're probably not going to be here for it,
yeah,
right?
I won't be around.
Right. So just if you could you know, at least just run it over and throw
Yeah.
some paraphernalia out on a table.
I'll see.
That'll
what
help
Miles
you
can do.
out.
Yeah, I'll see what he can do. We are just,
I know.
well,
Or text me, send me an email, and I'll come by and I'll grab the stuff from you. I will.
See, that's the challenge a lot of businesses are having
Right.
now. Like restaurants, Malicious last week was closed like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, according to their sign. And then they got to the point closed completely because he's
Yep.
getting set up for,
Yeah,
the
Vicky.
Southwick Inn was closed like Monday and
Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah, and I think their head chef left. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
It's a
I mean,
challenge.
where are these people going? What's happening? I mean, isn't that unemployment running out soon?
It's gone.
It already ran out. It's gone.
So then.
There's
what's-
no more checks
So
coming.
what's the
I
deal?
don't
They're
know.
back in their parents' basement?
Yeah, they're back. I mean, back to like, so instead of getting 400 a week, they're getting 100 a week.
I keep reading newspaper articles about this, reading them, and people are saying, well, I want a better job than X, but it should fulfill me. It should have better hours. It should be more flexible. It should be, you can't run a business if the employees come whenever they're interested.
So my daughter wants to leave one of her positions, not at the Agawam School Department, one of her waitressing positions, right? And she's been she went and had an interview yesterday at a pretty well established higher end restaurant. And when the manager said to her, "You're not going to walk out typically, first of all, you pool tips, and secondly, you won't usually walk out with like $250 a night. It'll be under." So I said, "Well, what's a shift?" And I just did the math real quick, and I'm like, so if you walked out with $150 and were there for 6 hours, that's $25 an hour. That's pretty good. But they don't. I don't think that registers for some reason to these young kids. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what they're thinking. I'm like, I would have died for a $25 an hour job. I said to my husband, I go, I might go do that. I said, I might go there.
I think that they, there's just a lot of talk that goes around, and you're right, they really don't, I think it's, once you've heard 2 or 250, then that's what you gotta top. I mean,
Right.
you can never be satisfied with
Right.
what's reasonable.
Right.
It's,
Which the interesting thing is, I guess, I mean, how are you paying for your bills? How are you paying for your stuff? Things. I mean, we don't charge your rent, but I mean, you still have
there's
to
the
pay for
cell
your
phone,
phone
there's
and your
the
car
car.
insurance and your gas and your groceries, and they have weddings to go to, and
we don't have any idea how far reaching this is. I called up today because I've had Red Wing shoes for 60 years, okay? And I understand that Gateway has one up there, so I called it up there, and she said, anything you order right now, we can't get till probably next April.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that unbelievable? She said there's one plant, Red Wing plant, it might be Wisconsin or something like that, wherever it is.
God.
And I said, so what are people doing? I mean, people either need shoes. She said, well, I can give you something wider that we have in stock. I said, I'm 60 feet up in the air walking a 4-inch beam. I don't need anything wider.
Right.
She said, I don't know what to say. She said, it's just, it is awful.
And apparently it's the same thing with kitchen appliances and all sorts of
It's
other things.
everything.
Right.
Order it now and you'll see it in 5
Yeah,
to 6
somebody
months.
just said something, garage doors. I have a client, she works for a garage door company. She said they're months and months out.
It is months. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't make any difference.
Right. They
They
just
don't
can't
have
do
it.
it because they have nobody, because nobody worked in those factories, because they have no employees, and they
There
can't.
was, I read an article last week, Ford and I think GM were closing certain plants in the month of September for 2 or 3 weeks straight. Because they said we can't get chips and we can't get certain other parts, so we can half build a car, but we can't finish it. So we're just telling people to stay home.
I understand, though, the higher price things you can get,
Yes.
right? That's
Apparently.
amazing to me. Whether it's a car or...
Well, apparently, according to an article I read a couple of weeks ago, BMW and Mercedes, well, especially Mercedes, according to this article, their top-of-the-line models, they're putting the chips in them, and they're cheaper C-class cars or S-class cars or whatever they are.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about Mercedes. They're not assembling those because they don't have the parts.
Right.
But they'll put them in the $80,000 or $100,000 model.
Yeah.
Look at the grocery stores.
Yeah.
The grocery
I mean,
stors are still empty, and I,
I
don't
just-
care if it's Stop and Shop or Walmart or wherever you go.
Anywhere. I went.
There's
I
blank
was.
shelves.
When my son, because we had a party for him, and I couldn't. I had gone to Costco, and they had no water. like no bottles of water.
Really?
So I'm like, okay. They said they hadn't had a shipment in 2 days. They've been expecting it for 2 days and they hadn't had any. A girlfriend went the next day and they had some, but still, they didn't have it when I needed it. So I went to Walmart. It was so picked over. There was barely anything. I can't find, the little single bags of chips
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to do bowls of chips with people.
You can
putting
buy
their
them at
hands.
Costco, like 50
They didn't
bags
have any. They
in
had
a
none.
box.
They had none.
Wow.
Walmart
they
had
last
none.
week.
Walmart had none.
Wow.
No, nobody had any. So I just said,
Well, for a couple of months, you couldn't get whipped cream in supermarkets. You know, the can of whipped
oh,
cream.
really?
It wasn't at Stop and Shop. Costco hasn't had them in months. Costco finally got Ready Whip in last week and the week before, but for weeks they had nothing.
Paula tells me that they, they distribute to
Yeah.
all
Yep.
stores.
Yep.
They nixed 800 and some deliveries last week. Isn't that amazing?
I know somebody who, she's like a manager at, I want to say it's a chain restaurant. I don't want to say it because we're,
Right.
but she's a head manager at them, and she goes all over. I don't think she's she's not like a regional manager. They put her at stores probably that are having issues and stuff. She goes, they can't, like their takeout, their ramekins. They'll get the ramekins, but no lids. They'll get takeout container tops, but no bottoms. They'll get, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
like, so I have all this stuff that's just taking up space
Yeah.
that I cannot use. That then I have to try and figure out how, like, where can I get stuff to then use, because now I have all this product of unusable product, but I still need something that I can use.
And that problem's all over the country, 'cause a couple of weeks ago, we were in Indiana, Ohio, and Iowa. Stores have whole aisles where they have nothing. If you go into the store, if you go to a restaurant, it's one waiter or waitress serving like 10
I know.
tables.
It is.
If you stay in a hotel, which we were doing, there's a sign sitting on the front desk that says, "We apologize, be kind to our workers." Normally, most of these hotels have hot breakfast in the morning.
Right.
Not anymore. One's charging $15 a la carte breakfast. The other ones have muffins or something in a refrigerator. You take it out, you put it in the microwave, and that's your hot breakfast. It's just,
What's happening? I mean,
it's all over the
I
place.
don't know. I mean, I said to my husband the other day, I said, it's kind of, I said, do we really need 100 different brands and types of chips? Do we really need, 30 different salsas on the, and he goes, you know what, Amber? He goes, we're first world country. We're supposed to be the best and greatest country. He goes, we should have that stuff. He goes, there's no reason why we shouldn't have those things. He goes, if we had them before, there's no reason why we shouldn't have them. He
But
goes,
they
the
don't have
only
the
reason-
they don't have the workers at the plant
No,
processing.
they don't. No.
They don't have the truck
truckers.
drivers.
Nope.
We kept seeing the backs of tractor trailers. They all say we're looking for help.
Yeah.
In Indiana and Ohio, when you get off at the service center, there's a giant banner from the state of Indiana or the state of Ohio looking for plow truck drivers for the winter.
Oh boy. How about they just got they're bringing the National Guard in the
To drive school buses,
school buses.
in Eastern Mass.
Yep.
really?
Yep.
Yeah, that was in the newspaper a
Yep.
couple of days ago.
Baker's bringing in the National Guard because they don't have enough school bus drivers.
Well,
It's interesting stuff.
So we can just
All right,
play
so
it by ear.
all right, so let's play it by ear. I mean, you
Right.
and I are definitely going to be here.
Right.
What time do you think you and I should get here for?
I'll be here by 4 o'clock or before it.
Oh, all right.
I always tend to show up early.
I know. You're so good. All right, 4 o'clock about, and then we'll just make sure we have. We'll put out 15 tables, maybe have them put out just in case. Like
Yeah.
if Craig pops
Yeah,
over,
we can,
and
yeah.
I'll send you an email. Like I might still like say to a couple businesses, hey, just throw some
Just put
applications
them
and
together.
at least
Just
put some stuff out.
Email me a list of them, because I'll make as an 8.5
I
by
will.
11 sign
Here,
with
do you
the
want,
names
do you
of
want my
each
list I
business.
have here?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, I printed it out. And it has like all their information. So
Yeah,
it
I'll
has-
just put the name of the business
Yeah,
and the
but
address.
right, but what I'm saying is it has like, so if we need to add something
Right.
to them,
Sure,
like addresses and stuff.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
good.
So yeah, so we'll do that, and we should be good. I'll call on the school tomorrow. I had
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna reach out to the young guy from was that Westfield Evening News?
Right,
I'm gonna reach out to him.
Peter Courier.
Yeah, and see if he'll do something. I reached out to I want to say 22, and they weren't in. Nobody got back to me. But I think I'll reach out to Mass Live and to 40.
See, a lot of these TV stations now, you have to go on their website and you type in all the information about your event, and maybe it'll get on their list, or maybe it won't.
Well, they did a whole spot on chamomile tea and whether it really makes you sleepy before bed last night on the 5 o'clock news. So I have a feeling this way is a little more riveting, maybe. I don't know. At least a little more helpful.
I'll try to get some word to a couple of reporters at the Republican
Okay, perfect.
Mass Live.
All right, sounds good. All right, I think we're good with that.
Yeah.
We don't really have to, do too much. People will just show up. That's why this was, going to just kind of be an easy thing to
Right.
help people out with.
Sounds good.
Michael Doherty had stopped by right before the
Oh,
meeting
yeah.
started from the planning board. And I'll let you explain.
He's looking for the various boards and committees and all in town, if they want to have a representative on this master plan subcommittee that they're setting up. He'd ask that each board or committee or whatever vote on someone to represent them on this committee. And Amber has indicated some interest. She'd
Right,
like to
but
be on it.
but you've indicated as well.
Well,
So, I mean,
I'm not going to bother fighting you. If you want
oh,
to
I
be
don't
on
want
it,
to
go
fight
for
it.
it.
No, I think you're very well educated and well versed in, and you've been on economic development for a lot longer than I have, and you have a lot more well versed. But if it's something you're passionate about,
If you want to do it, we'll vote for it. Otherwise I'll do it. If nobody else is.
I mean, I think my stance on it is just only, I don't know. I wanted to be involved, but I didn't want to do the double dipping. I didn't feel like me as in the public putting an application in and also being on economic development. I thought that was double dipping, so therefore I didn't put an application in because I felt like we were going to be involved somehow in this. I mean, it's up to, it's definitely up to you guys. I mean, if you really want to do it,
No,
feel
I
passionately
can
about
go
it.
either way.
So are we going to be involved, or what's the
Well,
procedure?
they're setting up this committee of 14, 15 people
Yeah.
from the various boards, committees. There'll be somebody from the selectmen, 2 people from the planning board. I think they're getting someone from the finance committee, someone from agriculture, etc.
Mhm.
And economic development could have 1 person on there. And that's why Mike stopped by, because he's checking on
Because
other
they're having
committees to have
they're having
somebody.
their meeting next Tuesday, so they wanted us to vote on it tonight.
So he's trying to finalize who's going to be on the committee, so they can then set up when they're going to meet,
What I
etc.
mean, is that committee then going to engage the other committees along the way?
What it's going to do, it'll have surveys, it'll have public meetings, inviting the public, the business community, etc. It's something that's going to take 18 to 24 months
Mhm.
to put together an updated master plan. 'Cause remember, the last official one that was approved was 1967. They did one in the 90s, but somehow the people on the planning board at the time
Never.
never approved it. then you were on a committee in 2002, 2003, or whatever, you, a woman from historical, and a couple other people, you put together a nice document, and
It went nowhere.
it didn't become part of the master
Right.
plan, because there wasn't any master plan, any
Right.
new one.
Right.
So was that one back in the 90s? Was that where we were talking about the
I wasn't
combination?
even here, so
Yeah,
I
that's
have
what
no
we were
idea.
talking about. It was the one that we, I think they paid somebody to actually come in and do it.
The
Yeah.
Pioneer Valley
But it
Planning
never,
Commission,
but they
there's some
never,
consultants.
like, it was never checked off. Like,
Yeah.
they never approved
The-
it.
the
It
planning
went
board
through
never
all,
approved
all
it.
of it and never got approved.
Yeah, we were involved in both of those.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Serena, I think, was involved in that first one as well.
Uh-huh.
Because we were talking about, like they have in Northampton, we have businesses below the, living, dwelling places above and all that.
Right.
Spent a lot of time on that, and I don't know, I think somebody checked off enough boxes to get some state money, and that was about it. I
Right.
don't remember what happened, but it was very deceitful, whatever happened back then.
Yeah, it never got finalized.
Yeah,
Let's say you're the planning board and we've developed a plan. Well, if there's something on that you don't like, well, then modify it, change
Right.
it, or X
Right.
out that paragraph,
Right.
Whatever it
But
is.
don't just null and void the whole entire
Right.
thing.
Just ignore the whole thing
Right.
is what they did.
so I'm just thinking the way that we did it then, of course, it's not a good example if it didn't work, but I mean, like, if Amber was the rep for our committee, she would
Mhm.
still bring things back to us.
Absolutely.
To discuss.
Absolutely.
That's how we did it back then.
Absolutely.
I would assume it would still happen like.
Right.
It would. I did ask him that, and I said, how is this gonna, is this gonna work? Am I gonna come back and, input and stuff like that? And he said, yeah, but we only meet monthly, so some of the meetings are gonna start off kind of bi-weekly. I don't know if they're gonna get into that nitty gritty right away. And
I
that
think it's going to
bi-weekly-
take time for people to learn what is a master plan, what are the key elements.
Right.
Where do we pull information
Right.
from? Do we do a public survey? Do we have meetings? Because there were some meetings, there was some effort made in the early 2000s, like 2003, 2005 range, where a consultant was paid and they had some meetings here. I couldn't get to the meetings because I was out of town. I don't remember what it was. And I don't know whatever happened to that effort.
Yeah, I'm not recalling that.
It's kind of like somebody ran for president a few decades back and he says, got a bookcase with lots of studies in it, but nothing happened.
Right.
Hmm.
Is it something that you had wanted to do?
No, I wouldn't have the bandwidth for it right now.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's very important. I mean,
I do too.
And everybody should think it's important after the fiasco we just went through
Mhm.
up the street here, where we don't even know what we want to be like when we grow up.
Mhm.
Here we're growing up. So I think that was that was an embarrassing sham.
And I think having a fine outline. I think one of my big things with, having it, and what I had stated to the select board when I had brought it up back originally months and months ago, I think even prior to Carvana, all that, I think even prior to that, was, we need a master plan. I have, my kids love this town.
Mhm.
They were, I might not have been born and raised in this town, but I've been here
Mhm.
longer than any other town I've ever lived in. So I consider this, my home. But my kids, I think my daughter was a year old when we got here. My
So
son,
this is all she'd know.
right, but my son too, born and raised here. You know what I mean? And I don't know if they want to move far away. You know what I mean? They love this town.
Yeah.
They really do.
But see, part of the input of developing a plan is to find out from people in their 20s
Right.
what attracts you, what
Right.
keeps you here,
Right.
what are you looking for,
Right.
as well as people in their 70s and 80s.
Exactly. And you'd be surprised. Whereas if we were, in Boston or something, they like the nightclubs and they like the this and the that. Whereas you have some of these kids and they do actually like the farm stands and they do actually like the, you know what I mean, driving behind and having a tractor in front of them. It's
Well, see, that's something, for example, for teens or people in their 20s, they want to know where their food comes from.
Right,
That wasn't even a question 30 or 40 years
Right,
ago.
right.
It comes from the supermarket.
Right,
Where they get it
right,
from, who
right.
knows?
right. Yep. So,
So it's sort of like a, business with a mission statement. I mean,
Uh-huh.
so on boards that I sit on, I always go back to the bylaws, for better or for worse, if you don't like them, change them.
Right,
They're there for a reason.
right.
right.
And so in our businesses, everything has to align with the mission statement, otherwise we don't do it.
Right.
And I think in the same way, if a Central Tractor wants to come to town here and we're not about that type of business, then we ought to have it all out there so people don't waste their time.
Right.
I agree.
But I think it needs to be spelled out, and if you don't like what's
And it's
spelled
something
out,
you,
then
you
don't.
revisit every 5 or 10 years. Does it need to
Exactly,
be modified or
exactly.
changed?
Yeah,
Technology changed. You didn't have cell towers 50 years ago.
right.
You didn't have Wi-Fi and 1
Correct.
gigabyte internet service
Yep.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that brings us back to the primary issue. Do you want to take it?
I would be willing to. I would.
Okay.
I would. But if that's, you know what I mean, and we don't have Serena here too, we could do a special meeting with Serena, unless both of you, feel that way. But it's
No,
or Craig, or if you feel that Michael's in a better position, you know what I mean. My only thought is you are a little more well versed with some of this stuff. Serena and I always leave these meetings going, gosh, he knows so much. But I know you're constantly on looking at everything, researching you know what I mean? And you come in here and you just tell us all these facts. So, I mean, obviously I would have to do a little bit more due diligence, on my end as well, or call
everybody-
you up and go, hey, Michael.
But everybody on the committee, coming from
I-
different perspectives, that hopefully they'll all be bringing something to the committee.
I mean,
Yeah.
can we lobby for having both of you on the committee? I mean, I think there's a strong argument to be made for that, as opposed to just having one. What would that hurt?
We can ask. Why don't we ask? Could you reach out? You're going to email him anyway.
Sure.
Would you ask him, and then, depending on what he says, then we can do a special meeting, a Zoom meeting.
Well, let's just do it now, because it's just getting meetings and then going to the town clerk's office and getting
I
them
would just say
posted.
we voted for
Right.
both of you to be on.
Okay, I second that vote.
Okay.
I think you both have a lot to offer. I mean, again, I've been involved before, and would be pleased to, but it's going to require some time, and I mean, I'll stay in touch with you. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we'll talk
Yeah.
about
Oh,
things,
yeah.
so.
Definitely.
Okay. Do we have anything else we need to do
No.
tonight?
If for some reason they come back and say no to that, then where do we stand?
Just
Well-
give them your name if you want. I'm not in it for the glory. I'm
I'm not in it for the
to have
glory
my
either,
name
but
on the front page of
I'm
the
not either,
report.
but I'd like to, I think, just me personally, I think it's very important to me, in the sense of with my kids, with the potential of the grandkids, with everybody in the future of this town and what goes on, you know what I mean? I just, I do work in this town. I do, live in this, I mean, it's just, I think it's just important to me. And I wouldn't have brought it up months ago if it wasn't important to me, to them. And I don't know how, because it had never really been brought up prior for quite some time. But it's,
I think you both bring balance, and I think it would. I mean, I tell them it's not negotiable. You both bring balance.
I love
Well,
that.
one might come as a resident and the other one from EDC. I mean, there's
Yeah.
different ways
Right.
that they're making up
Right.
the
I do know that
15
you had to put an
people.
application in as a resident, if you wanted to. I know my husband did put one in, for an application. And again, the only reason why I didn't, and people were reaching out asking if I did, and I said no, because I believe they're going to have the EDC involved. So that's why I didn't do it.
But I think we've long looked for a reason to have some meeting here, and I think this is
I
one of those
agree.
things, right?
Yeah.
So,
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Okay, we can go from there. It's 6:48 and we're ending the meeting.
Okay.